Hi and welcome to the video on square roots and cube roots. By the end of this video you should know what a root is and how to use it. So let's take a look at square roots to start off with. Square roots are the numbers that are multiplied by themselves to get a square number. Make sure you've watched the video on what a square number is before watching this one. For example, we know that 36 is a square number. That's because 6 times 6 is 36. So the square root of 36 is going to be which number multiplied by itself gives you the 36, which is 6. So if I tell you that 25 is a square number, what's the square root of 25? What number multiplied by itself gives you 25? If you said 5, you'd be right, because 5 times 5 gives you 25. The symbol for square root looks like this. A typical question would be, here's the square root of 9. This means which number multiplied by itself gives you 9. And if you know your times tables, you'll know that 3 times 3 gives you 9. So the answer is 3. Here are the first 5 square root numbers. And here are the next 5 square root numbers. If you remember the square numbers 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, and 100, that will help you come up with some square root answers without having to use a calculator. But not all the numbers are there. For instance, where's the square root of 2 or the square root of 3? Where's the square root of 20? You see, you can't really work this out. You're not going to get a nice whole number answer. But you can take a guess at where it's going to be without a calculator. You see, 20 is going to be between 16 and 25. This means that the square root of 20 is going to be somewhere between 4 and 5. Now, if you put square root of 20 into your calculator, you're going to get that decimal. And if you were to multiply that number by itself, you will get 20. So what about cube roots? Well, just like square roots, cube roots are the numbers that are multiplied by themselves 3 times to get a cube number. And we looked at cube numbers in the last video. 8 is a cube number. This is because 2 times 2 times 2 gives you 8. The cube root of 8 will be 2. So if I told you that 27 is a cube number, what do you think the cube root of 27 is going to be? Think about it. I'm not going to give you something that's not going to be an integer answer. It's going to be a whole number answer. It's going to be something like 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. If you think it's going to be something like 5, think about what 5 times 5 is. That's 25. If I was to take 25 and multiply it by another 5, I'm going to get quite a big number. Have you thought about what number times itself 3 times gives you 27? Well, it's 3. Because 3 times 3 is 9, and times 9 by 3 and you get 27. This is the symbol for cube root. It's exactly like the square root symbol, but it has a little 3 there. So if I wanted to know what the cube root of 64 was, I'd be asking which number multiplied by itself 3 times gives you 64. Now, if 3 times 3 times 3 is 27, it's going to be something bigger than that. 4 times 4 is 16, times that by 4, and you get 64. So the cube root of 64 is 4. Here are the first 10 cube root numbers. And just like square root numbers, you can estimate what the cube root of, say, 2 or 3 or 4 would be. It's going to be somewhere between 1 and 2. But you'd use the calculator to work those out. If you can memorize these cube numbers, it'll save you a lot of time. So what do I want you to write? I'd like you to write down the heading square roots, as well as writing down what a square root is, and then the first 10 examples. Then I'd like you to write down what the definition of a cube root is, and those 10 examples. If you can do that, that'll set you really far ahead of what you need to know about cube roots and square roots. And hopefully by now you know how to use them a little bit. And tomorrow when you try them, you'll be able to get more practice. Good luck.